Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to WCW Nitro vs. WWF Raw's War June 9th, 1997 review. Just to get it right out of the gate, I think WCW Nitro episode was better than WWF's Raw's War. And the reason being is because, number one, they did an outstanding job building towards their go-home show for Great American Bash. I will definitely be reviewing that over this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how everything went down with Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page 2 in a lights-out match, which is established in this episode, by the way. We get some confirmation, though, that Bash at the Beach, you're going to be able to see Tony Schiavone confirms that Rodman and Hogan will in fact be wrestling at Bash at the Beach, and their opponents will be, later on in the show, you find out that you actually get to see, Lex Luger and the Giant, now known as the Big Show, go up against Dennis Rodman and Hulk Hogan in a tag team matchup main event for Bash at the Beach. Granted, I would have appreciated a world title match more than a fucking tag team match with no title on the line. But then again, back in the day, they seemed to give Hulk Hogan a huge advantage. So whatever on that. Didn't really have to defend his title all that much. So to kick things off right out of the gates, we had a six-man luchador tag team matchup, basically with these rules. If a tag team partner falls out of the ring, you actually could go back in. You can actually take their spot. Someone else on the team can get in the ring and take their spot. So it felt more like a tornado six-man tag team match, only with the guys on the apron and two men in the ring, one from each team, competing to to actually have the match all done, and so forth. At the end of the day, and this was, just to go over this with you, it was Super Culo, Hagoto Guerrero, and Ultimo Dragon versus La Parka, Psychosis, and Silver King. At the end of all of this, the Ultimo Dragon throws Psychosis back in for a Super Rana and the Dragon Sleeper for the submission for a win for their team. So nothing special there happened. It was pretty much a luchador match. If you've seen a luchador match, you've seen pretty much plenty. I mean, there's not much to talk about. It was an okay matchup. The next match after that, Lex Luger is actually in there, and the Giant, who apparently is in Germany, have signed to face Rodman and Hogan at Bash of the Beach. They're waiting on Hogan and Rodman to sign, but there's bigger news. Hogan hasn't defended the title since February, so tonight it's Luger versus Hogan. Lex never says if the title is on the line, though, or not, which, granted, that does not happen anyway. We just get the one-on-one matchup later on, but there wasn't much to talk about there. Alex Wright versus Chris Jericho. This was a very interesting matchup. I liked Alex Wright back in the day. Chris Jericho was definitely a newcomer in the WCW. I think this was his second year running. And he did good in this match with Alex Wright. So I'll read off some of what happened. Feeling out process to start with Wright being sent to the apron, where Jericho hits a springboard dropkick to send Alex to the floor. Back in, and Wright stomps away in the corner, followed by a suplex for no cover. Alex goes up and misses a knee drop, but he catches Jericho's super kick in a dragon screw leg whip. A Vader bomb gets a 2 for Wright, as does a sunset flip for Jericho. Off to the chin lock by Wright, but Jericho suplexes out of it. We head right back on the chin lock to kill some more time, and Wright puts his feet on the ropes, doing a little bit of dirty heel tactics there. This is a time that Alex Wright actually is starting to become more cocky. He's a little bit arrogant too, especially in 2 matches I've seen of him these past 2 episodes, on June 2nd and this episode. He does a lot of dancing after he does a nice move, and the announcers like Bobby the Brain Heenan or Larry Labrisco, who does the commentary during his match, are wondering what the fuck this guy is doing. He's wasting time. It doesn't make any sense for him to parade and dance around while he's got a beaten down opponent that he could take advantage of and actually win. The guy didn't seem he cared so much of winning, even though he was trying to win a match. Didn't quite make sense to me either. So I like the commentary there pointing out the arrogance and stupidity by Alex Wright during his matches. So Jericho fights up and hits a spin kick to the chest, but Wright clotheslines him for 2. Off to a camel clutch, which Jericho gets to the ropes to escape. The fans boo because the beach ball they have is taken away. Who fucking cares about that? So, Jericho puts Wright in a tree of woe for a baseball slide, followed by a crossbody, but Wright rolls through and uses the ropes for the pin and gets the 1, 2, 3. From what this reviewer had to say about this match, I'm just going to go ahead and read it off. This was a fairly long match for Nitro, and it never got going. Wright was okay, but when he lost the first match after his heel turn, his whole new persona was broken, as the announcer spent the first part of the match talking about how big of a role Jericho has been on due to his success in Japan. So they have him lose here. I'm not sure I get this. This I have to agree with. To a certain extent, this person who wrote this review on this episode, I would agree on what their comments were, because of the fact that Alex Wright wasn't really being pushed hardly at all. Jericho looked like he was being pushed. Unfortunately, later on, you will notice that does not happen. And just overall, give me 1 second. I'm trying to fix the light here. See if I can get it any brighter. Okay. So yeah, I personally agree with this. I don't understand, unless this was going to be built into a one-on-one match rivalry where Jericho would get the big win over him or something. But Jericho losing after having a big run, I didn't quite get it, but whatever. Akura Hagoto versus Malaya Hazaka. I don't even care. Did not watch this match. I'm not even going to discuss it. I just didn't give a flying fuck. Conan versus Steve Mcmichael. Well, actually, wait a second. I forgot a segment. I forgot to read a segment here. So Luger versus Hogan is officially a non-title match. So what was the... Okay. So here are the Steiners for a chat. Rick says they beat the NWO and now they have to prove themselves all over again. Scott says they'll beat whoever they have to beat to get another title shot. This brings out Harlem Heat, who says they should get a title shot, and they're fighting on Sunday, but a brawl breaks out here. This was a very nice spot here. I am glad they put this match together. because it made a lot of sense for them to do that. Now, we then have a matchup with Conan versus Steve Mcmichael. Kevin Green jumps Mongo on the way to the ring, but Mongo drops him throat first onto the barricade and walks away. Green jumps Mongo again, and the brawl is finally broken out. Now, Mongo is actually a nickname for Steve Mcmichael, by the way. We cut back to the ring to see Conan out cold with a broom broken next to him. I could only wonder who the fuck that could have been. As you guys already know, if you've been following the videos, Hugh Morris took a shot by Conan with a broomstick, so I can only imagine Hugh Morris was the guy who blasted Conan with the broomstick this time around from last week. So the match never happened, and then out comes Bischoff and Hogan with the latter in sweet white NWO shirt. It's actually a reversed NWO shirt, which actually was rather nice. I like the way those shirts looked. I'm thinking about maybe getting one if there's one available to get off of eBay or something. Bischoff tells JJ and WCW to bite him because Hogan isn't getting in the ring until he's ready. Hogan says he won't wrestle tonight, but he'll pose a bit for the fans. And then cues in Luger, who gets in the ring before Bischoff and Hogan can see him. Hogan gets in Luger's face and says, "Get out of here." Luger decks him, and we have a referee and a bell. So, how this match go? Well, let's go ahead and discuss this. Lex Luger versus Hulk Hogan, non-title match. Lex Luger forearms him to the floor, and NWO comes out for support. Hogan clotheslines Lex Luger down and drops some elbows. The fans are on fire already, which is something you can't take away from Hogan. I have to agree with that. He got reactions that no one else in WCW could get. Luger forearms him down, and we take a break. Back with Hogan scratching Luger's back as we start hour 2. Hogan clotheslines him down again, and Luger is in trouble. A belly-to-back suplex puts Luger down for a 2 count. But Hulk misses the elbow, and Luger stops to beat up the Wolfpack, and the rack gets the and he gets the torture rack for the submission on Hogan out of nowhere. This ran less than 6 minutes in total, and we saw about 2 minutes of it. Yeah, got to agree that this match was not exactly. This was more. The truth of the matter is, it really felt more like a tease. Like a future tease to expect what will come about for the future. Because, quite frankly, this is a match that you could put for pay-per-view type quality. Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger in 1995, when they first originally started with WCW Nitro, they had Lex Luger and Hulk Hogan bump heads when Hogan was a face. Lex Luger wanted the WCW Championship match with Hogan, which I don't believe ever actually happened. So they never went about going forward with that until in this year of 1997. I have to admit, I don't remember or even seeing that match happen live. So it should be interesting watching the match that occurs between these two guys later on. The other match I'm really interested in is that Bash at the Beach match for 1997 pay-per-view. I think that match will be fantastic. Hopefully. I don't know. I've never watched it. I'm not going to go watch it now and cheat my way to see it. I'm going to, go one episode at a time and pay-per-view at a time to see the pay-per-view. But quite frankly, I really enjoyed the little build they got going on here. I think it's a solid way of doing things. I do have to agree with the reviewer because he does mention this in his review. Why do they mention anything about Hulk Hogan defending his title last February? That was the last time he defended the title. Why do they even mention that and then never have a title defense here in this matchup? I have to agree with that comment that this reviewer made because it doesn't make any sense to bring that up and then not have a title match be produced for the audience to watch. It's illogical to me. Which, I mean, WCW had that. WCW had a lot of illogical booking that went on in this company. Now, granted, even though they had illogical booking, they had good build towards these shows. They had people excited, enthused. They had some interesting characters. They had some classic wrestlers in a classic roster of wrestlers on this in this promotion. So even with all their illogical booking, they still did a good job building these characters up. As time went on, though, they didn't progress with new people to take those spots as the older guys got older, and they never got any new stars to make the show more interesting. I mean, I'll be quite frank with you guys. I truly believe in 1999, that really should have been the year where WCW should have been building new stars. Hogan and Ric Flair, you should have never seen them in 1999 as WCW champions. Really, to be honest with you, that should have never taken place. I think the guy that really should have, the next person after Goldberg to win the WCW title, I mean, Kevin Nash, I guess, was okay. I didn't particularly care for the match that they had, which I'll get into later on in the next couple of months or in the next year or so, because I'm doing this once a week. But after Goldberg became champion, I truly felt that the person that should have won the title should have been Chris Jericho. Jericho had a storyline being built between himself and Goldberg at the time, and I think Jericho should have been crowned the new WCW champion at Starrcade 1998 and actually defeat Goldberg and give him his first loss. Now, again, at that time, Jericho was a heel, so you could have done dirty tactics to help Goldberg lose that match and give the title to Jericho and make it believable. Granted, Jericho is not doesn't have the same kind of build as Goldberg, but it definitely would be a passing towards a new era of wrestlers in WCW. They had that class of wrestlers, which later went to WWE and became what is the main event of that generation. And that they just fucked up. I even think they could have taken Edge and guys like them, like the Hardy Boys and everything, into WCW if they would have evolved to a new set of wrestlers at that time. And they still would be around today, I personally think. But hey, that's just my opinion. I don't know. Let me know about what you guys feel about that comment in the comments down below. So, the Wolfpack runs in immediately and crushes Luger. Hogan hits the leg drop. The pyro goes off and the start of hour 2 begins. They couldn't do this 30 seconds earlier. Okay, this is just a bunch of stuff. Alright, here's JJ Dillon in the ring to say that Savage is fined $50 grand for what he did last week. There's no suspension, though, because he felt that if he gave the suspension to Randy Savage, it just would give him a way out of not having the match with Diamond Dallas Page. So he kept the match as it was and didn't suspend him. Instead, this match is being called a non-sanctioned lights out match, something AEW did with good old Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, which, by the way, was fucking brutal, and I actually own that one. I probably am going to go back and watch that again later on this weekend, if I have the time. So Savage pops up in the crowd with Elizabeth and says he's not paying the fine. And then in comes DDP, who says, let's do it right now, and you're going to feel the snap into the bang. And Savage comes to the ring, and they brawl for 10 seconds. Somehow all that took 5.5 minutes. Now, I will say this, there was some good comments made by Randy Savage that the reviewer neglects to state in his review, is he actually comes out in the audience and says, I'll be glad, he doesn't really state he's not paying the fine, he says, I'll be glad to pay the 50 grand plus another 50 grand so I can kick your ass. And then out came Diamond Dallas Page to say, how about instead of waiting till Sunday, how about we just do it right now and we get this over with? And he comes down and we just get a small tease to hype us up for the matchup for the pay-per-view itself. I actually think that was a very smart idea, and it was very good on WCW's part to do so. We then get the United States Championship match between Jeff Jarrett and Dean Malenko. I am going to say this, Jeff Jarrett-Dean Malenko match was good. The problem with the match is it ended with a screw job finish because of Eddie Guerrero. If there was anything you could have done, is not strip Dean Malenko of the title 6 days before fucking Great American Bash. You could have had this match you could have had this match at the pay-per-view of Great American Bash. You could have done that. You could have had Dean Malenko go over on Jeff Jarrett, have him win and retain, and then get his ass kicked by Eddie Guerrero after the match was over. But to give the title to Jeff Jarrett 6 days before Great American Bash, to me, makes no sense. Quite frankly, it would have made more sense if Jeff Jarrett faced Dean Malenko at the pay-per-view and this whole situation happened there. Fortunately, that was not the case, and the match ended up being a screwjob finish thanks to Eddie Guerrero. His arm was actually in a sling, supposedly, and then he comes out of nowhere, hits a frog splash, throws the sling on top of Dean Malenko as Jeff Jarrett covers for the 1-2-3 and picks up the victory. Or actually, he gets the figure 4, excuse me. I forgot to mention that. Jeff Jarrett does do the figure 4 and taps out on top of it, Dean Malenko. I think that was terrible. The ending of the match was terrible. The overall match itself, excluding the end result, was fantastic. It was good wrestling. It kept me highly entertained. But the problem is with it is that the match just was fucking... The ending was just shit. Complete, utter shit. Especially with the tap-out victory by Jeff Jarrett to Dean Malenko. I think that's garbage. That's not how you make Dean Malenko go out losing the title. I thought that was garbage. Now, we got a small segment by Mean Gene. And he's with Jimmy Hart, and the Faces of Fear. Jimmy brings out Kevin Sullivan, who says, you can go home again, and he's done that here tonight in Boston. He wants Benoit. Benoit comes out. The Dungeon of Doom actually beat him down to death. And that's how that segment ended. The Outsiders go the Outsiders face Ric Flair and Rowdy Piper. Now, this matchup, I didn't quite understand. This is a 9-title match. I don't understand the point of having these guys compete in a tag team match that's non-title. There we go. I got a little bit more of light so you guys can see me better. I apologize for half of the video for you guys not being able to see me. But you can hear me, so that's all that really matters. Now, bottom line, I don't quite understand the point of this whole situation that this non-title match came about. Why they had to have this match just before the pay-per-view. It doesn't really do anything special for it. Now, after the match was ended in a disqualification, and Ric Flair and Rowdy Piper win this match, we have a total non-stop fucking just tons of different wrestlers coming out of fucking nowhere, out of the woodwork, of all the different rivalries going on for WCW's Great American Bash, and you see a fucking brawl break out that's like crazy. The end result of all of this, I'm not going to go over every wrestler. You had the Steiner brothers, Harlem Heat. You had Kevin Green attacking Mongo, Steve Mcmichael. Steve Mcmichael comes in, tries to help out Ric Flair with Jeff Jarrett because they're being attacked by the NWO. Then you start seeing a ton of other guys. NWO members are showing up too to help their team out. Blah, blah, blah. You see all kinds of shit go down. You see Randy Savage come out. You see Diamond Dallas Page. And Hogan comes out with Eric Bischoff. And then out of nowhere, out of fucking nowhere, I was waiting to see this happen. And it fucking happened. I was like, come on, when are we going to see Sting come down from the rafters like we did last week? Or the week before? I don't remember which episode it was. But he finally comes down from the rafters on a cable. And he's protecting Diamond Dallas Page. He's kicking everybody's ass with a fucking baseball bat. And he's just destroying everybody. With every NWO member that comes near him and Diamond Dallas Page. He straps Diamond Dallas Page up. And he's doing this all at one hand, by the way. He's got a baseball bat in one hand. Using the other hand to strap him and Diamond Dallas Page to the cable. So that they can fly up in the air. Which eventually they finally do. And they just hoist all the way up to the rafters. And the fucking crowd goes apestick. I wish that we could see things like that in today's generation of wrestling. But like I said before, when in that episode where Sting actually did this, you can't do it. It's very unsafe. I mean, I'm surprised that Sting never fell. I'm surprised that Sting never fell doing these stunts. But overall, this was a fucking off the chain freaking episode. You got all kinds of things going on. You have a lot of different storylines being built for the Great American Bash for the Go Home show. You also have a little bit of build for Bash at the Beach. I mean, you got everything going on, and it's just, it's really good stuff. I really enjoyed what they had to offer for this episode. Every episode does not deliver on this kind of level of entertainment for WCW, personally, in my opinion. So that's that episode. Now let's get into WWF Raw's War June 9th, 1997 episode. And by the way, this episode actually came for WCW Nitro. It came from the Fleet Center in Boston, Massachusetts. And where WWF Raw's War of June 9th, 1997, this episode came from Hartford, Connecticut. And what arena, I don't know. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, they don't give the fucking arena name, but whatever. You get the point. Hartford, Connecticut. The opening contest is actually the Legion of Doom and Ahmed Johnson defeating the Nation of Domination. Savio Vega doesn't care actually to give the Nation salute prior to the match, and that creates beef between between he and Farouk. The crowd is hot for this opener, and the booking of the match helps as faces dominate much of the action. The match continues the storyline of the Nation falling apart as Savio and Crush are too distracted to tag in to help Farouk because they are jawing too much with Mason and walk out on Farouk after he confronts them. Farouk also gets some nice hang time when taking the Pearl River plunge from Ahmed Johnson. This was a really entertaining squash to start the show. I personally didn't care for this. Based on what the reviewer is saying, I didn't really care for this at all. I liked what happened afterwards. I thought that was pretty cool, but that's later on in this episode. So we get a segment with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Mr. Triple H, carrying the King of the Ring crown, and China are interviewed by McMahon. Helmsley says that he should have been the King of the Ring last year, but missed out because of McMahon's politics. We all know what that really was. It had a lot to do with the Clique having some issues with good old with the Clique actually breaking character and being friendly at a live event during a steel cage match. After the match was over, they hugged and embraced each other. Shawn Michaels, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash gave a group hug, friends goodbye type thing, you know the deal. So Helmsley says that it's his time to rise to the top of the World Wrestling Federation. He issues an open challenge to the locker room, and Mankind appears on the Titantron. Mankind was fucking great during this point because, quite frankly, outside of Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, this show, this promotion was pretty much dead. They didn't have nothing going for them compared to what WCW had as a roster. I mean, Nation of Domination was a pretty good little mid-card faction group, but they were never, like, main event quality type wrestlers. Undertaker was also another good one with his storyline with Paul Bearer and what that secret that he has that he didn't want revealed, which later on is revealed anyway, as you may already know. But it was actually a very good build for that. So those four wrestlers and Paul Bearer being a manager and so forth really got the show over as a whole, but it wasn't enough to really make me feel that rating grabbers that it would do anything special for me. Also, the Hart Foundation was another good group that helped put this show and keep its head above water and whatnot. So Mankind asks for a rematch for the King of the Ring and comes out, but gets attacked with the crown by Helmsley. Helmsley did okay with this promo time. I have to agree with that. I actually enjoyed what he had to say. He sounded a lot like as he got older, he seemed to be that type of Triple H. The Triple H that he first started out as seemed like all like, you know, glimpse and glamour. He seemed like he was Mr. I'm full of myself type of shit. But as time went on, he seemed to be more Triple H with this Hunter Hearst Helmsley gimmick. So I actually did enjoy what he had to do here. It was a very good promo and very good shit. He also talks about how, like, why would Mankind want to face him? He's already beaten the shit out of him at the last night's pay-per-view at King of the Ring. So what the hell would he fucking care? Sonny comes out with the Raw is War t-shirt, which you can actually buy for $25 and $6 in shipping and handling with the phone number that they provide, which is blacked out on WWE Network. I think that's absolutely funny how they think people are going to actually call the fucking number and do that, but whatever. So we get footage of the British Bulldog winning the European Championship in the winter, and the European Championship match is actually defended with British Bulldog going up against Goldust. They wrestled to a double countout. Matchup was okay, solid okay matchup, nothing to cry home about. I don't particularly care for the matchup itself, so whatever. After the match was over, the Bulldog hot shots Goldust on the steps and goes to hit him with a chair, but Marlena gets in the way. As the Bulldog tries to decide whether to use the chair, Ken Shamrock rushes to the ring and slams Bulldog, and the two tease a confrontation before the Bulldog decides to leave. And that was actually pretty damn good. I would have loved to see, I don't know if that actually happens later on in the coming months with fucking Bulldog and Ken Shamrock. So I wonder if that does happen later on in the future. And if it does, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that match turned out. Doc Hendricks is outside of the Nation of Domination's locker room. We can hear them arguing in there. Farouk storms out of the locker room and tells Hendricks that he is going to the ring to talk. Hendricks goes to talk to Crush and Savio Vega, and Savio rants in Spanish, and Crush tells Hendricks that the Nation is fine. Ross interviews Farouk and some black members of the Nation. Farouk says he rescued Savio Vega and Crush's career, but they just stabbed him in the back, so he's firing them both from the Nation. Farouk then fires the other flunkies in the Nation except D'Lo Brown, which includes Clarence Mason. Farouk promises that a new nation will be formed that will be more powerful and loyal to him. Farouk challenges Ahmed Johnson and Undertaker to a tag team match on next week's episode so that they can become the first victims of the new nation. Footage of Steve Austin Pillmanizing Brian Pillman's ankle in October of 1996 is shown. And, let's see what else. So Paul Heyman and Tommy Dreamer. Now this was fucking off the walls crazy. There's a moment in this show where you get to see Rob Van Dam. Yes, Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam, perform in WWF while still is contracted to ECW. This was fucking crazy. And why in the hell didn't WWE and ECW actually make a partnership for to do shows together, or at least use ECW as a developmental system? Because honestly, Paul Heyman didn't have enough money to produce this show the way he really wanted to, and nobody was going to actually move forward with this type of product because of the way it was so edgy and very not like TV's content that's suitable for everyone to be able to watch. So they had a drawback. They had great wrestling at times, but at the same time, it fell flat on its face when it came to trying to move forward as a mainstream entity of a promotion. So Paul Heyman and Tommy Dreamer are shown walking in the crowd. The Headbangers beat Doug Funis and Philip LaFon. And that's not even a big deal. I'm not even going over that. That match was bullshit. Didn't care for that at all. Jerry Lawler's with Rob Van Dam in the back, and Lawler tells McMahon that ECW doesn't want Van Dam to compete, but he's going to tonight. Clips of the famous gun incident between Pillman and Austin from the late 1996 is shown during this time, and McMahon and Ross recap the entire show thus far. So McMahon interviews Steve Austin, who comes out to an explosive reaction. McMahon says that Austin's attack on Brian Pillman last night at the King of the Ring was unbecoming, as if Austin gave a two flying fucks about what Vince McMahon thought. But Austin says it's brought a smile to his face. Austin says he'll kick Pillman's ass all over the ring tonight, and he volunteers to be part of the 5-man team to face the Hart Foundation at the Calgary Stampede, and that he'll wrestle the Hart Foundation 5-on-1 if he has to. This is a great promo because it sets up 2 matches and appeals to the American fan base, which sees Austin as a hero and makes Austin come off as a heel to the Canadian audience, which was the Hart Foundation's center of fan support. Totally agree with the comments that are made by this person who did this review. Absolutely loved what Austin had to say. A lot of his promos in his early days were fucking off the wall crazy and great shit. Rob Van Dam, he has a decent match with Flash Funk, which I do believe they compete in ECW for a one-on-one matchup later on. And Rob Van Dam defeats him with the split leg moonsault and 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Pretty solid, okay matchup. After the match, Heyman hops the guardrail to attack Lawler, but Lawler beats him down, and Dreamer hops the barrier and brawls with Van Dam. Ken Shamrock comes out to do commentary for the next match. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We have Sid Vicious, or Psycho Sid, pin Owen Hart with a chokeslam within 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Okay matchup. Again, Owen Hart's being given a lot of bullshit during this time. I really think that Owen Hart deserved a humongous push in WWF. He should have been a world champion at least once, and he never did, and I think that's bullshit. Sable comes out to model for the Raw is Worth t-shirt. However, Marco Mero comes out and gets her after she nearly finished her seductive dancing routine. The final part of Mankind's interview with Jim Ross is shown, and Ross said that he felt really helpless at the end of the interview and wished he had not taken the assignment. Mankind says that he wishes Vince McMahon took him while he was good, and he thinks of that when he applies the mandible claw to an opponent. It's rather a dark interview, as Mankind talks about pain and suffering. This is the interview where Mankind puts Ross in a mandible claw at the end of it, and Ross sells it like death. I thought it was very good, and then Mankind showed some remorse at the same time, which made no sense. He's like, help, help, and he walks away, like, kind of cares, but really doesn't give a shit kind of attitude, whatever. Rockabilly, later on known as Billy Gunn, beats Bart Gunn with the shake, rattle, and roll in 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Who the fuck cares? This match sucked. The Hart Foundation is shown talking strategy in the back before they chase off the cameraman. Steve Austin Pillmanizing Brian Pillman ankle on Superstars in October of 96. And the Super Soaker Rewind segment comes on. Steve Austin comes out to wrestle Brian Pillman, but the Hart Foundation attacks him. Mankind runs out and makes a small save, and then runs into the ring and starts a wrestle Pillman, which sets up this bait and switch type matchup, which I did not enjoy at all. I thought that was a fucking load of shit. Couldn't believe they actually went with that. And to close things out, Mankind actually beats Brian Pillman by disqualification when Owen Hart interferes at 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I do believe at the end we do see Ken Shamrock come down to the ring to help out Mankind. Yeah, that's the case. And then, so after Hart Foundation flees, Austin gives Mankind an evil eye and gives Shamrock a Stone Cold Stunner as we go off the air. Like, you can't even trust Steve Austin to do jack shit. But anyway, guys, again, like I said, Nitro is better than Raw for this episode. Austin held this show together. And that's really all I have to say at this time. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night. Bye.